This country is in a revolution. They're sick and tired of what they're getting, and I happen to be lucky enough to be part of it.
It has been said that when in the course of human events, an oppression so revolts its subject that it becomes necessary to alter or abolish the means of that tyranny. Is it that time when our Bill of Rights is defiled every day? When our adventures abroad threaten our security at home? When the Federal Reserve keeps our free nation enslaved by debt? When the people of the world tremble under the thumb of corporate imperialism? And now, our nation is drifting dangerously from freedom to fascism. So I have to ask, is it time?
And now, from the luxurious Albino Raccoon recording studios located in the Midwestern heart of America, it's the Last Voice for Liberty Network. And here is your host, The Mouth.
Greetings and salutations to all my fellow patriots. It is time. The Last Voice for Liberty Network is back on the air. I am your host, The Mouth, back from my 2-day hiatus after putting up with a little bit of sass, if that's what you want to call it, from our lovable engineer here, the Albino Raccoon. The Albino Raccoon. That's right, there's only one, folks. Just one in the entire planet. And it is this man. This man who so graciously has built this lovely studio and fantastic equipment and signs and all the editing and everything that goes on around here. He does a great job for us, even though he gave me a blast of shit last week. But as I have had to admit, I brought it all along myself. I got a little bit, mouthy. It happens from time to time. We put these things aside, and, my pussy stopped hurting yesterday afternoon. We talked everything out. So, today, the Last Voice for Liberty Network is back with a brand new episode for you. And, folks, do we have some stuff to talk about today? Dear Lord in heaven, world is getting crazy. Getting crazier and crazier and crazier every 2-3 seconds. I mean, this isn't a joke, man. This isn't a joke. There was another shooting today in Oregon. Yep, folks, this happened in a mall. Some douchebag decided that it'd be a good idea to walk into a mall and start firing. Well, this seems to have some purpose to it as we get to some of these reports that are coming out of Oregon right now. This last one was released in just about 20 or so minutes ago. I'm talking about the masked gunman who shot up the crowded suburban Portland, Oregon mall has killed 2 people. And he is identified by authorities as Portland resident Jacob Tyler Roberts, a 22-year-old kid. Now, the Clackamas County, it took me a half an hour to try and realize how to pronounce that, because every time I started looking at it, it started looking like Crackmas, which is celebrated amongst crackheads during the month of June. Anyway, Clackamas County Sheriff Craig Roberts said that the shooter didn't appear to be targeting anyone in particular when he entered the town center on Tuesday, and he fired as many as 60 shots. Now, he said that the death toll would have been higher had the shooter's rifle not jammed, and law enforcement responded within minutes of the first shot. Still 60 shots. Obviously, this schmuck was not a good shot. Because 60 shots, even when a rifle jams, he fired as many as 60 shots, folks. He's going to say, well, the rifle jammed, this had been worse. No, he was a bad shot, you dipshit. He got 60 rounds off.
Are you off your fucking meds or something?
Come on. Now, this is what, if his rifle wouldn't have jammed, this is going to be your official statement. No, he was a horrible shot. Probably all drugged up. Now, still, the sheriff called the shooting a terrible, heartbreaking tragedy by any standard, which, of course, it is, folks. We're going to commemorate these people that lost their lives in this senseless act. The dead, who are identified as Cindy Ann Yulee, 54-year-old lady out of Portland, and Stephen Forsyth, a 45-year-old man out of nearby West Lynn. These are the people who lost their lives in this senseless crap. Christina Shvenko, a 15-year-old girl, is in serious condition at the Oregon Health and Science University Hospital in Portland. 15-year-old girl. Now, Sheriff Roberts confirmed that the shooter was wearing a mask and a load-bearing vest, but not a bulletproof vest. What's the difference between a load-bearing vest and a bulletproof vest, folks? This story just popped up on my feed and my screen. I just heard about it as I woke up this morning. Maybe I was reading the wrong stories last night or something I missed. Well, this happened Tuesday. I know the malls in Portland close. They don't stay open all night. So I want to know, why is this all just now coming to light this morning? But, and what's the difference between a load-bearing vest and a bulletproof vest? We are definitely going to be doing more investigating as this story unfolds. We're going to give you what we got so far. Up to 10,000 holiday shoppers and store workers were in the mall when the first shots were heard. And this mall being one of the biggest in the state, 185 stores and a 20-screen movie theater. And it's Christmas time, folks. It's the month of December, so you guarantee you that 10,000 is a generous estimate. Not a generous estimate, that's a conservative estimate, excuse me. In a couple days, I'll get back into the swing here. Come on, man. Just because they can't hear you doesn't mean I can't. We talked about this, dude. Deal with it! As the shooting started, folks, many of the shoppers immediately took cover or hid in the stores inside, while once again they repeat that the gunman fired as many as 60 shots. This is what tells me this guy was a bad shot, folks. I mean, just horrible. You're firing 60 shots and you've got a mall during December. Guaranteed jam-packed. You're firing off 60 shots, but you only kill 2 people and injure 1? Come on now. They'll tell me it's because his rifle jammed, officer. Because that's a load of crap. This kid was a horrible shot. Couldn't hit a moving target. So obviously he was not trained before this. This may just be a factor of a kid, snapping. It may not be a politically motivated type thing. Now, the first call came at 3:29 p.m. Pacific time yesterday. So this happened, this is the first 911 call. This happened yesterday afternoon. And I was pretty much in tune with a lot of news and everything. I didn't see anything about it. I wonder why it's just now coming to light during the day. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on it for right now. But the first officers arrived a minute later. Okay? 1 minute. So this guy got off 60, well, you got to think the first 911 call coming at 3:29. So somebody sees this guy start opening fire and calls 911, and the cops arrive a minute later, but he still gets off 60 shots. He obviously had a lot more ammo, or else, Sheriff Roberts couldn't be speculating like this. One would think, but we don't have all the details yet, folks. It said the first officers arrived a minute later, and by 3:51, all the victims and the gunman and rifle had been found. Now, 4 SWAT teams spent hours clearing the 1.4 million square foot mall. Hours. just to make sure that there's nobody else. Hell, you never know. This guy's going to line up a bomb or anything. Set up a bomb by the doors and start letting, open and fire on people. They do it in movies. Don't sit here and act like I'm out. Don't give them any ideas, mouth. The fuck, they do it in movies. Where do you think I got the idea from? I'm a talker, man. I'm not other. They don't do it in the movies, man. Don't think I'm the only one that saw that movie. Law enforcement officers went through the mall room by room to be sure that no more terrified bystanders were still hiding. For more than 2 hours after the shooting, they're still going through to make sure. Now, witnesses were describing the gunman as wearing a white mask and carrying a high-powered rifle. They said he fired a series of rounds into the mall's food court area of the mall. I think something that we might need to be paying attention to is exactly what kind of mask this gentleman had. Because sometimes those symbolism things will get out of control. You need to be careful about that.
Dios mío, man.
Austin Patty, a 20-year-old who works at Macy's, said that he saw a man in a white mask carrying a rifle and wearing a bulletproof vest, is what he told the Associated Press, that he heard the gunman say, "I am the shooter." It's kind of weird for a gunman to come up and say, "I am the shooter," as if he was announcing himself. Patty said he ducked into the ground as a series of rapid shots were fired and then ran to safety. That's kind of, that's really fucking weird, man. Why would a guy with a gun in hand and a mask say, "I am the shooter"? As if to go, "Hello, I'm the shooter."
You two are just dumb as a bag of hammers.
These are the things, you've got to start questioning why, about this weird stuff going on. If something doesn't make sense, there's usually a reason why it doesn't. And in every type of public shooting where people die, it should be scrutinized as to where and how and, what is going on with the whole situation. You know what I mean? I know. Now, Alina Pavlenko, a 16-year-old who was working at a cupcake stand in the mall, said that she saw the gunman shoot at a woman and then watched her fall, and then saw the shooter point in her direction and fire. He looked straight at me, and he aimed, but he missed. And this once again backs up why I'm saying that this kid just was a bad fucking shot. He kept on shooting, and he kept on walking. She said he wasn't running, he was walking so slow. She said he dropped the thing he used to load bullets, and he just slowly picked it up and put it back in again. Hannah Baggs, a 14-year-old, said she looked directly at the gunman just moments before he entered the mall and opened fire. He was like 10 feet away from us, wearing a white mask and carrying something heavy with both hands. The high school freshman also told the Oregonian that he went running into the store. Said, "I was scared, but I didn't tell my mom because I didn't want to get her upset." There was a 14-year-old child standing outside seeing the government enter the store. Or not the government, but the gunman. That's what I said was gunman. Will you? Don't make me stick around for editing. Well, I gotta postpone any more meetings because of you.
You are a bitch!
Yeah, that's right. Titty twister. Julie Donahue, a 60-year-old out of Milwaukee, Oregon. No, it's not spelled the same, folks. Told the newspaper that she was sitting near the windows in a restaurant when she heard screaming and saw the people fleeing from Macy's. And she said, "I told the people around me that we had to leave now. I left my food and got outside just as the police arrived," Donahue said. Donahue said, "I just couldn't stop shaking." Now, Kira Rowland told KGW-TV that she was shopping at Macy's with her infant son when the shots started. All of a sudden, you hear two shots, which sounded like balloons popping. Rowland told the station, "Everybody got on the ground. I grabbed the baby from the stroller and got on the ground." Rowland said she heard people screaming and crying. She goes, I put the baby in the stroller and ran like hell. It was awful. It was shot after shot after shot after shot like a massacre. Camille Shoup, a 20-year-old in Monmouth, Oregon, was reading books at the Barnes & Noble store when she heard loud pops. She didn't immediately recognize them as gunfire, but then saw people running from the store. She said, I dropped my phone and left. She said, I knew this is for real. You knew it was for real. Why'd you drop your phone? All right. Well, that's that type of speculation neither here nor there. A little bit more info on this. Jacob Roberts is the suspect in the shooting rampage at Oregon Mall that left 3 people, including himself, dead. Is Jacob Tyler Roberts, 22-year-old, out of Portland. Reported the Portland Oregonian reported that court records show that the 22-year-old Roberts didn't appear to have any criminal history, but he had 2 speeding tickets from earlier this year. His vehicle was a 1996 Volkswagen Jetta, which was found in the Clackamas Town Center parking lot where the shooting occurred, according to the sheriff's office. The Oregonian also reported that court records showed that Roberts and a woman were evicted from their apartment in Happy Valley, Oregon last summer. Once again, over a year ago, would this be possible motivation? I think an attack on capitalism is a possible motivation for him to do this, because he go into a mall and start shooting at people. Yep. That's one of them things. And apparently, if you've gotten evicted a year earlier, the speculation that you could possibly still be having financial troubles is obviously still going to be there. But in this economy, the speculation for anybody having financial troubles as to what makes them snap is there. So for us to investigate that possibility and go into it even further than I already have just by simply discussing it is, to me, a little bit redundant. The officers have said that they went and searched the suspect's home in Portland, but declined to indicate what they had found. The Oregonian said one of its reporters went to the Portland home of Robert's mother on Tuesday night, but that she declined to comment except to say that, I loved my son very much. Now, the sheriff said officers had not established a motive for the shooting, but believe that there is no relationship between the gunman and the victims. So, I leave it up to you folks. We will definitely get more information as it comes to light on this shooting and what all goes on. Some things are a little bit funny there. I mean, now, I know. I'm getting to... dude, let me...
Yeah, hold on there. Hold on. You got to give me another shot at this.
I'm going to leave it to you folks to guess that we're going to dig more into it. Obviously, and you take into effect those eyewitness accounts that I just told you about. Yeah, they're under a lot of stress, and sometimes you don't think so clearly right after that happens, or right after, especially something this horrible happens. So, it's natural to try and block out a tragedy such as this, and we really sincerely send our thoughts and our condolences out to the families of the people who have lost loved ones in this tragedy, and to the family of the 15-year-old little girl who's still fighting for her life. Folks, we got to take a quick break, our first one of the day, and we will be right back on the last voice for Liberty Network.
Spread the wealth around. If I was your president for a second term, chill out at the golf course, watch the country burn, hang out with my homies, we'll see and breathe, cheer on occupiers, telling corporate greed, yeah.
Why do you have this sign?
Do you disagree with it?
That he's Canadian? That he's not American? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're saying, we're asking the question.
He was born in Hawaii. That is a state of the United States. He is born here legally, and he is an awesome president.
Is he a Keynesian?
No, absolutely not.
It's possible. I mean, I'm not going to go and judge people.
It doesn't matter. Alright, maybe it would matter on his views on things, but like most of us come from, Ireland, Germany, Italy, most of us come from different countries.
Until there's proof to the contrary, could it be...
What proof do you want? He gave you proof. He gave you proof. He was born in Hawaii. What proof do you want?
And you think that establishes that he's definitely not Keynesian?
He's laughing. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I mean, you people are trying to make something out of nothing.
I don't really see how it's relevant to his presidency. It is important, but it shouldn't be the only thing looked at.
That's stupid, and that's what that sign is, stupid. And Americans, I'll tell you what, hopefully on November, that people are going to know that most Americans are not stupid and don't buy this.
I don't know what his economic policies really are, personally, so I can't really answer that question.
It's hard to know until we have proof one way or the other, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I thought you said Kenyan.
He can't keep up to his promises, but, he could put forward what he promised to, make a future of it, but, you can see by what happened over the 2 years that he's been in presidency that he hasn't kept up.
I feel like I know where you stand on Prop 19, sir.
Yeah.
Hey man, this is the Rasta man, smoking a big fat spliff and listening to the mouth on the last Voice for Liberty Network. Lord of mercy.
Cherry on the floor, and now I don't want no more. I said there was nothing left that I could do, and all I wanna do is pass it on from me back to you.
Here we are back on the last Voice for Liberty Network. I am your host, The Mouth, here on this 12th day of the 12th month of the 12th year of the 2000s. 12, 12, 12, folks. That's right. There's a bunch of numbers that are all the same for our date today. Skibbity-doo. Somebody wanted me to mention that. I don't know why. They say on the 21st, the Mayans think that the world will end. If it does, what are you going to do? I can't stop it, so... eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow may be the last day on Earth.
Oh no, we're all doomed!
Folks, we got to touch on this touchy subject, as a lot of us out there, if you aren't in a union, you have friends in a union, and this next topic is going to get pretty... hit pretty close to home with those folks in the unions, as the right to work bill passes yet another state. The unions are real upset about these things because they're thinking that well, folks, we can get into it. We'll get into it right here. Yesterday in Lansing, Michigan, the chants of angry protesters were filling the Capitol. This was all over, folks. The violence that I saw yesterday coming out of these protests was absolutely deplorable. Now, I understand when emotions get heated up, that things can happen. But we saw it flat out yesterday, folks. Them tearing down that tent for the right to work supporters, with people still underneath it, trampling on it. This mob mentality, and then, taking swings on a reporter. We saw that guy, a reporter got assaulted by a union member yesterday at these things. And all this guy was asking was for them not to tear down the tent. He said they had already torn down one.
That's the Democrats for you.
People screaming that they're going to kill people. Who's got a gun? They said that the reporter had a gun. And you could hear screams of people saying, I'll kill a motherfucker with a gun. I'll kill 20 motherfuckers with a gun. This is what this has come to. We're going to get into what the right to work bill is about and what both sides are contending, and the events that transpired yesterday as a result of this bill going through Michigan, which is one of the bigger union states in the country. The lawmakers gave the final approval, folks, to right-to-work legislation there, and this is a devastating and once unthinkable defeat to the organized labor in the state that's been the cradle of the movement for generations. Now, the Republican-dominated House ignored Democrats' pleas to delay the passage and instead approved the two bills with the same ruthless efficiency that the Senate showed last week. That's right, folks. Remember, we reported it last week. Last Thursday, when the Senate in Michigan passed right to work, said, yep, get it on through. One measure of it dealt with private sector workers and the other with government employees. Republican Governor Rick Snyder signed them both within hours. He wasn't fucking around. He said, House Speaker, Jace Bolger said this is about freedom, fairness, and equality during the floor debates. Right? These are basic American rights, and they're rights that should unite us all. The right to be able to get a job without having to pay somebody to have the job. That's what it boils down to, folks. That's what right to work is. Unions are claim that this takes money away from them and their ability to bargain. We'll get into it right here. After the vote, he said, Michigan's future has never been brighter because workers are now free. You can get a good job without having to join a union, without having to pay someone to pay dues to have this job. Now, once these laws are enacted, the state where the United Auto Workers was founded, and labor has long been a political titan, is going to join 23 other states with right-to-work laws, which ban requirements that non-union employees pay unions for negotiating contracts and other services. That's right. You can also take part if you go to get a job at a company where there is a union, and the union does bargaining for these rights and dollars and pay rates and whatnot that unions are supposed to. You can take advantage of those benefits that the union has negotiated without paying them for it. Guess what, unions? Wasn't that what you're supposed to do anyway, is negotiate rights for all workers? Why do they have to pay you to do it? Supporters say that the laws give workers more choice and support economic growth. But the critics insist that the real intent is to weaken organized labor by encouraging workers to freeload by withholding money unions need to bargain effectively. This is where I come in and it starts to boil my blood a little bit. Withholding money unions need to bargain effectively. If you need this money so badly to bargain effectively for everybody's rights, why are you donating this to, donating millions, to almost billions of dollars to campaigns and political candidates? That's not bargaining effectively, because you're not bargaining with anybody. You're giving somebody money to, I don't know what the hell you're giving them money for. To keep you in power, to make people join the unions.
Oh, that dream didn't work out too good now, did it?
Is that it? I mean, somebody explain it to me. Because you're giving away all the money that you need to bargain effectively. But now you're going to get pissed because these laws give everybody the right to benefit from your negotiations?
You two are just dumber than a bag of hammers.
Which is what they're supposed to be able to do anyway? Isn't the union about workers' rights? If it's about workers' rights, why are you complaining about getting more workers?
Freaking retarded.
No, these arguments against the right to work laws are about unions having money and power. That's all it is. Saying or calling everybody freeloaders because you're not going to chip in and give us money to bargain effectively when you're throwing money at candidates by the millions of dollars. You're funding their campaigns by the millions of dollars. And not to mention if you're slinging any cash under the table. I mean, come on here. Don't give us that bullshit to bargain effectively when you're throwing the money out that you're already getting away.
Have you lost your mind?
Trying to affect elections. When I say whoa, I mean whoa. I mean, come on. Protesters in the gallery were chanting shame on you as the measures were adopted. Union backers clogged the hallways and grounds shouting no justice, no peace. And Democrats warned that hard feelings over the legislation and Republicans' refusal to hold committee hearings or allow a statewide referendum would be long-lasting. U.S. Senator Carl Levin and other Democrats in the state's congressional delegation met with Governor Snyder on Monday and urged him to slow things down. For millions of Michigan workers, this is no ordinary debate, quote-unquote, Levin said. He also went on to say it's an assault on the right to have their elected bargaining agent negotiate their pay, benefits, and working conditions, and to have all who benefit from such negotiations share in some way in the cost of obtaining them. These rights. Why do they have to be paid for? Why do we have to buy our rights? Basic human rights dictate that a company, large or small, is not going to degrade their people like they did back in the 30s. Don't you think that 80 years of knowledge and education and growth as a culture would absolutely nullify the possibility of this happening again? I mean, really? Why do we have to keep paying for it? It's like we're renting our rights. These impassioned crowds were considerably smaller, actually, than those drawn by the right-to-work legislation in Indiana earlier this year and Wisconsin last year during consideration of a law curtailing collective bargaining rights for most state employees. Now, those measures provoked weeks of intense debate. Okay, weeks of it. And Democrats boycotting sessions to delay actions, and tens of thousands of activists were occupying state houses in both those states. But in Michigan, the Republicans acted so quickly that opponents had little time to plan a massive resistance. Now, Governor Snyder and GOP leaders announced their intentions last Thursday. Now, within hours, the bills were hurriedly pushed through the Senate as powerless Democrats objected. After a legally required 5-day waiting period, the House approved final message. There are 5 days you could have organized something. Oh, wait, I forgot. Welfare checks are already sent out. You can't get your people living off the government to come and protest when they've already spent their money on what little government money they get for Christmas, being good consumers. Oh, you can't have your cake and eat it too. After this legally required 5-day waiting period. The House approved the final passage. This is a problem that needed to be solved, Governor Snyder said. He expects the law to be challenged in court, but does believe that it's going to stand. Protesters had began assembling yesterday before daylight outside the Sandstone and Brick Capitol building, chanting and whistling in the darkness and waving placards with slogans such as "Stop the War on Workers," and others joined a 3-block march to the building, and some were wearing coveralls and hard hats. Valerie Constance, a reading instructor, for the Wayne County Community College District, and members of the American Federation of Teachers sat on the Capitol steps with a sign shaped like a tombstone saying, "Here lies democracy." This kills me, because democracy is when the majority rules. Don't sit there and whine saying, "This is where democracy dies." No, this is what democracy does, stupid! You fucking retards don't know the difference between a republic and a democracy, and you say democracy dies when it doesn't go in your favor. Not only are you so stupid as to not know the difference between these two and the fucking reality that this country is a republic and not a democracy, but you are so stupid as to sit and condescend to the rest of us to say, "Oh, democracy's dead because it didn't go your way." Wrong, bitch! That's how democracy works! She said, "I do think this is a very sad day in Michigan history." The crowds filling the rotunda area, beating drums and chanting, and the chorus rose to a deafening thunder as the House members voted. Later, the protesters surged towards a building across the street that was housing Snyder's office. 2 people were arrested when they tried to get inside. Trying to storm, what are you going to do, lynch him? Take him out in the street and kill him? But by late afternoon, demonstrators had mostly dispersed. That's right. Oh, fuck. We lost. Now, Snyder insisted that the matter wasn't handled with undue haste, and he called the debate in the House and the Senate a healthy discussion. But here's the kicker, folks. There's a failed ballot proposal to enshrine collective bargaining rights in the Michigan Constitution that actually triggered all of this discussion. You know, that led to the passage of right to work. They wanted to, they noticed that the rest of the other states, especially states that were getting in their geographical areas with Wisconsin and Indiana, usually what happens around states end up adopting themselves. You know, they end up kind of following the same path eventually. Sometimes it takes a while, but eventually they kind of end up following the same path and deciding to work together as opposed to working against each other. That's the whole, you know, liberty mentality of the United States of America. At least that was the original one. But this failed ballot proposal, they wanted to enshrine in their Michigan state constitution that the unions would always have power. They wanted to stop it before it could even happen. This, in turn, would trigger the right to work discussion. One would have to know.
I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells.
If you didn't want to have the right to work discussion come up and be so final, then why would you try to enshrine it into the state constitution that it could never come up? That's foolish. Americans know their rights, and they will defend them. They will bring it up. Michigan has now given the right to work movement its strongest foothold yet. Right there in the Rust Belt, folks, where the 2010 election and the Tea Party movement produced assertive Republican majorities that have dealt unions repeated setbacks. You know, opponents say that, and when I say setbacks for the unions, I don't see how it can effectively set back the workers who already work for the unions and pay their dues, unless the union heads and representatives are misusing those funds that they're being given. That's the only way unions are losing money. Only way. When they talk about, oh, you're affecting us being able to effectively bargain. No. It's the only way, folks. Just the only way. Opponents are saying that they're going to press Governor Snyder to use his line item veto authority to remove a $1 million appropriation for the bills and then make them eligible for a statewide referendum. But the House swiftly rejected a Democratic amendment to that effect, saying, no, I don't think so. Lawmakers who back the bills will be, quote-unquote, held accountable at the ballot box in 2014, said State Representative Tim Gremel, the incoming House Democratic leader. But Senator John Pruce, a Republican from St. Joseph, who voted for both bills, predicted that objections would fade as the shift in policy will bring more jobs to Michigan. This is getting to be a fact. Now, the White House declined to comment on any threats or violence made by the union members in Michigan. They would especially decline to condemn it, saying that the president believes in debate that's civil. So just saying that, just enough to go, hey, now, well, to say something without saying anything, which is Barack Obama's MO. When Jay Carney was asked by a reporter about a claim that Michigan and state Democrats saying that there will be blood should Republicans pass the union choice law in Michigan, Carney professed ignorance and then downplayed the comment. He's, I haven't seen those comments. I had. Who the fuck? You that fucking stupid, Jay Carney? I'm supposed to believe that the White House press secretary, the White House spokesman, fucking Barack Obama's little white buddy, hadn't seen the comments that I've seen? Bullshit. He goes, I'm not sure whether those mean what someone interprets them to mean. Now, the union had at least one televised assault on the journalist, followed an Obama rally in Michigan, when he declared that the right-to-work laws are a political effort to slash wages. That is not the case. There is not a political effort to slash wages. In fact, folks, states with right-to-work laws have a much lower level of unemployment than the union states do. This was a quote and a claim that was made by Bill O'Reilly himself. Yet, folks, let me get one quick thing about Bill O'Reilly. Me and Bill O'Reilly don't see eye to eye a lot. Okay? I think he's a kind of a pompous ass. Which is why I could probably never be on the show, because I think I might just thump him in his fucking big forehead. But on February 24th of last year, on the O'Reilly Factor, Bill O'Reilly had said that the jobs picture is better in the right-to-work states, and saying that the unemployment is a much lower level. So PolitiFact decided that they were going to check it out and see. Now, there's some background here. We'll get on this National Right to Work Legal Defense Foundation. 22 states, as of the time of this article.
You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you. But you're crazy.
I passed the right to work legislation. I know. Passed the right to work legislation. And these exact provisions can vary from state to state. But these states include Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Nebraska, Nevada, North Carolina, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming. Now, the other 20 states as of this time had not had so much laws. But to test O'Reilly's claim, PolitiFact turned to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data, which is the official source for unemployment statistics in the United States. The BLS's most recent state-by-state data is for December of 2010 as of the time that this was published February 28th of 2011. They said they consulted with Gary Burtless, a labor economist with the centrist to liberal Brookings Institution, about the fairest way to look at the data. So they went to a liberal institute to try and dispute Mr. O'Reilly's claims. Yeah, I spilled coffee all over myself again. Said they agreed that it was best to compare right-to-work and non-right-to-work states through data weighted according to state population. See, that way California's unemployment rate would be given more weight than, say, Wyoming's. But when they did the math, they found that unemployment rate in the 22 right-to-work states was 9.17%, compared to 9.65 in the 28 non-right-to-work states. The national unemployment rate that month was 9.4, and that was right in the middle. So O'Reilly's basically correct. His only shortcoming was his use of the phrase "a much lower level of unemployment," and the difference for December 2010 was only about a half a percentage point, which is fairly modest, given that the range of state unemployment figures stretched from 3.8 in North Dakota to 14.5 in Nevada. Now, as always, there's a question about causation. That is, whether or not the right-to-work states actually produce low unemployment. Of the 11 states with the lowest unemployment, there's a tie for 10th place now. 8 are right-to-work states. Of those, 7 states, North Dakota, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Wyoming, Kansas, and Oklahoma, are from the Great Plains and the Mountain West, which have in general been less hard hit during the recent recession. Now, to see whether today is an unusual situation, after that lovely interruption, because time is never my fucking friend, we're going to have to wrap things up here on the Last Voice for Liberty Network.
I love being angry.
I am your host, The Mouth.
I hate my life. Can't eat, can't see, can't bury the wife in the backyard.
Sometimes I wonder what I'm gonna do, because there ain't no cure for the summertime blues, but there is a cure for your Liberty Blues right here on the Last Voice for Liberty Network.
When injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. The utmost manifestation of love and devotion to America is today, as it always has been, resistance of tyranny.
Maybe it's you who don't know me. Because if you knew me, Peg, you would know that there are certain things I do not do. I do not floss. I do not eat vegetables. I do not like French pastry. I do not like the French. I do not cry at movies. Except, of course, Old Yeller, because we know it was very sad. But most importantly, Peg, I will never, ever, under any circumstances, go to a head shrinker.